We're live, Commissioner. We're live. Back.
We're live, we're back, okay. Welcome back. We took about a 40-minute pause while we took a private call from the White House updating us on all the things that are going on nationally. And so we're back now. And just to reiterate, it's March 18th, 2020. And this is a work session. And we're also getting business with the county done. While we were dialing up, we moved to approve the financial services vouchers unanimously. And we approved the minutes for March 10, 2020 unanimously. That was before we took our break, our pause. So now we're at the project prospectus and land local agency agreement for Thurston County mobility strategy.
You heard those items before, Commissioners, unless you want me to explain again. I'll be more than happy to do so. And this is related to secure.
I remember all of the items except this one.
Okay.
And I think a couple of us had questions about this particular item.
Yes, and this is securing a grant from the federal government of $300,000 to do the Thurston County Mobility Strategy Study. And that is a coordination with all the jurisdictions to have a traffic study across the region. And again, this is an approval for the Director of Public Works to sign and accept the $300,000 for the federal government.
Okay, when you say traffic study, I guess I actually don't remember that we had this discussion. So I don't know where my seatmates are. Maybe I missed something. But
I think it might have, a lot of times when we're receiving money, it doesn't engender a long, robust debate. I think it might have passed by us, but I think we hit it quickly because it was accepting of money. I don't remember a long discussion about it.
And I remember the issue as well. I just don't remember what the study entailed.
We can delay it. I mean, I'm not here to.
I don't know that we need to delay. I mean,
you know what it was?
if you can fill us in just a little more, that's all I'm asking.
Yeah. Give me a minute and I'll give you additional information.
Thank you, sir.
Can we pause real quick? I'm having issues with the live stream. Sorry.
Can they hear us?
So it's not live streaming? Is that what you're saying?
All right, it's live streaming.
All right, thank you. So take the time you need to look up that information on the traffic study.
Because we're not.
I thought
We are now.
Oh, we are now?
Oh, we are.
We are
Okay.
now.
It just wasn't showing up on my
That's
monitor.
why we're rehashing it for the public.
Yeah, that was, in fact, one of the items for the next week's meeting that you cancel. And the question was, why not having it tomorrow? I'm just saying, so.
That's funny. We remember well now.
Yeah.
So the justification is many of the rural arterials in Thurston County are congested today, and road projection shows congestion is increasing in the future. These arterials are primarily connections between communities and the county and intermodal connections for goods and services for the county and the state. There are limitations, however, to address the congestion through road widening, including funding, environmental concerns, and physical right-of-way limitations. The study will evaluate different strategies, make recommendations to implement, and ultimately form a proactive rural mobility strategy in Thurston County.
I guess my question would be, how come TRCP isn't doing this instead of Thurston?
TRPCL, yeah.
Well, the TRPC, there's a little bit different role. TRPC is the agency in which distributes federal funds. And they distribute federal funds, in this case, to the counties. And this is related to specifically the rural areas of the county. We believe that we can probably do this differently than TRPC.
So is there a motion?
I move to, excuse me, move to approve the project prospectus and local agency agreement requesting obligation of $300,000 of federal funding for the Thurston County Mobility Strategy Study, CRP number 61522, and authorize the Director of Public Works to sign the project prospectus and local agency agreement.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the prospectus and local agency agreement for Thurston County Mobility Strategy. Any further discussion on that topic?
No, sir.
No, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries. Resolution and call for sealed bids for asphalt material for annual and road maintenance.
Yeah, this item was also scheduled for next week's meeting, and this is just a yearly request from Public Works. They will allow us to get some bids on the specific materials by quantity, by whether it could be yards or lineal feet, whatever the measure is they need in terms of materials. And I believe you briefly discussed this, and you asked why not moving to today, so here we are.
This one I do remember the discussion, so I will move to approve the resolution and call for sealed bids for furnishing a supply of various kinds of asphalt materials to the Department of Public Works for annual road maintenance activities.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the call for sealed bids. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Homeland Security Region 3 Incident Management Team trailer purchase.
Yeah, this item you review, and this is for emergency services to purchase a trailer to provide support, logistical support in case of emergencies. This is mainly this is the second trailer. We have a first trailer, as you may remember, and we somewhat lease that to DNR when they fight, forest fires. So this is just another asset to support those emergency needs.
And this was budgeted last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was a carryover.
Yeah.
And thank you for remembering that,
Okay.
because this what you will see is a budget amendment coming to you in the next couple of months, in which will allow that carryover amount until this year. And the purchase of this will not happen until you take that action to allow that expenditure authority to occur.
Okay.
I move to approve a resolution authorizing the Emergency Services Director to purchase a planning trailer in the amount of $73,462.61, including any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve a resolution to purchase the incident management team trailer. Any further questions or comments?
No, sir.
No. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes. Interlocal agreement related to the Chehalis River flood warning system.
Yeah, before I can highlight this item, Commissioner, just for the viewing public, the reason they're seeing this business to be conducted by you is because you have canceled the formal Board of County Commissioners meeting yesterday and next week. And this is an attempt to continue the services and the decision-making process, your legislative body. I just want to make sure when they see this, it's a little bit of unusual, and a reality today is unusual anyways. So I just want to make sure that is the purpose and intent.
The times we're living in, but business still goes on.
Right.
Transparently. Okay.
So this interlocal agreement, you review this item, and this is to get into another 5-year participation with Lewis County. Lewis County is the fiscal agent of maintaining all the flood warning systems on the Chehalis River. The county is participant on this larger context in the order of 14% a year of what it costs to maintain those gauges. So this agreement is to continue on that. There's a little bit of an increase, obviously, as cost of living increases occurred from the previous agreement. So the total cost of this agreement for the next 5 years is about $67,000.
As this is written, this is actually a 6-year agreement, is that correct? From January
Yeah,
2020.
yeah, thank you. 6 years. Yeah, thank you. The 6 years agreement. Stand corrected.
And the fund this is gonna come out of?
Thank you. The fund that is coming from is the stormwater utility fund.
This is, in the 14%, this is an agreement that's shared between Lewis County, Grays Harbor County, and Thurston County. We pay 14% of the overall cost. Lewis County is mentioned here because they're the fiscal agent that supports the administration of the contract. With that, I would move to approve interlocal agreement with Lewis County to operate and maintain the Chehalis River flood warning system for the period of January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2025 for a total cost of $67,000 and authorize the county manager to sign any future amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the interlocal agreement with Lewis County to operate and maintain the Chehalis River flood warning system. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. COVID-19 grant submittal to the Department of Commerce.
Yeah, this is a new item, but you did have a little bit of a briefing yesterday from Key Lee, our homeless coordinator. And this is an opportunity the Department of Commerce had laid out to the counties, and it was a very short notice. The notice came last Friday. We worked with staff to make sure that we address all the questions the Department of Commerce had, the State Department of Commerce, related to this grant. And on Monday, we received a notification that perhaps we're eligible for just about $1 million. In this case, it's $999,376 for activities related to public health and people experience homelessness. That is the key of this this grant. So on this proposal, I will ask the board to authorize submittal of the paperwork and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign this agreement. And also, you may see on the language a little bit different. I'll ask you to give the authorization for any supplemental in the future up to 25%. Because money may be coming and we don't have the time to have you review that. So for your consideration, I will suggest 25%.
Maybe 50 if you want.
Okay.
All right, good to go. I move to approve the Washington State COVID-19 Outbreak Emergency Housing Grant for the total maximum amount of $999,376 for activities related to public health needs of people experiencing homelessness or otherwise in need of quarantine or isolation due to the COVID-19 outbreak for a duration of March 15, 2020 to September 30th, 2020. And authorize the Public Health and Social Services Department Director to sign the agreement as well as future amendments that do not change the dollar amount or duration of the agreement by more than 25%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Washington State COVID-19 Outbreak Emergency Housing Grant for $999,376. Any further discussion or comments?
No, sir.
Well, glad this come.
I'll just opine just a bit. And this massive chunk of dough, greater than $1 million that the Department of Commerce is sending out in grants, was or is intended, number one, it's intended for counties. It's intended to help folks that are homeless, but also those that are in need of quarantine. And deference was given by Commerce to counties that are working with cities to address this issue on a regional approach rather than individual entities. And so in order to, it speaks to me that we put the information, application, the plan we actually submitted to Commerce. Within a couple of days, they approved the plan and they're awarded the grant and the money will be coming. And that speaks volumes to what the Thurston County is doing with Olympia Lacey and Tumwater County and the entire community. So it's nearly $1 million for quarantine folks and homeless folks. And I'm very happy that this is really cool. We have staff that are just on it. So anything further? Nope.
No, sir.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Proposition number 1, April 28, 2020 special election.
Yeah, Commissioners, you had a conversation yesterday related to the proposition number 1 that was scheduled for April 28, 2020 special election, and the board determined that you want to rescind this from the auditor's office. So I have for you prepared a motion, which is different to what you have on your agenda. So I have here a copy for you for the motion, and this is reflected on the ordinance that I have worked with your prosecuting attorney. It's just changing wording, nothing from.
Thank you, sir.
is as a framework for the viewing public. You had this conversation yesterday, and this was a request by the auditor raising concerns of the current healthcare emergency. As she has stated to me individually, and perhaps to you as well, some of the volunteers who participate on the ballot center on the Mudman area are those individuals. They are within the high risk category, seniors, and it's an attempt to protect that. And also, in any election, we need to open voting centers, which also requires that close contact with citizens as well as with employees. And that is really, I believe, the reason in which you provided direction to rescind this from the auditor's office.
Go ahead.
I see we've made several adjustments on this from yesterday, then today, and now this new adjustment. And I hate to be a nitpicker, but I just wonder if we've got a couple too many ofs in there.
Yeah, and again, this is evolving. Whatever you like to.
Yeah,
This
I
is-
mean, do we have to have it exactly right?
No, no.
At this point?
No, take the first one out.
You can have a conversation as to how the motion can be drafted.
Well,
This is good.
no, I'm fine with council giving us the direction. I just didn't know if we need to have
Just the wording.
everything right, you know, or I didn't know if we could make adjustments to it.
Yes.
After we vote on it, that's all. I'm obviously in
So
favor.
what you approve is this ordinance. That is the legislative
And
action.
so we're going to move to rescind that particular ordinance.
No, it's moved to approve this ordinance to rescind.
And do we have an ordinance number associated with this?
No, yet. No.
Okay, I'm gonna leave that to the vice chair
Do we
to
need
figure
one?
out, I guess.
We don't have to have an ordinance number.
No.
Okay. Because it refers to that.
Do we know if it was mentioned yesterday, and I think it was also reported in the paper, that the Secretary of State was intending to submit a letter to the governor, supported by all county auditors, calling for a statewide ban on the April 20th elections? Did you know if that letter got submitted?
I don't think it has been submitted yet. I think it's in the works with the auditors.
Curious.
But that has not been, at least to my knowledge at this point, has been submitted to the governor.
But we haven't, as far as we know, that we haven't heard that it's not forthcoming.
No.
It's probably still in the works.
Maybe just for the viewing public, can I read the whereases of this ordinance?
Certainly.
Just to make sure
Start
that,
with you?
is that okay?
Yeah.
I'm just, before we get going on that, am I hearing that you wanna make a condition of the Secretary of State submitting that? No, okay.
I'm deferring to our county auditor.
Okay.
I'm just curious, because it certainly added.
Well, sure.
I mean, if the governor's gonna do it, you know, it's.
Right, I thought maybe, I don't know.
Seems like everything we've been doing.
Whatever you wanna do.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So I think this will be helpful for the viewing public. I think we have time. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners of Thurston County, the board adopted ordinance number 15840 on November 12, 2019, and ordinance number 15864 on February 4th, 2019. Those are the two ordinances you applied in order to submit this to the auditor, the proposition number 1. Whereas these ordinances provided for the submission of the qualified electors to the county at the special election to be held on April 28, 2020, of a proposition authorizing the county to levy regular property taxes in excess of the limitations under Chapter 84.55 RCW, excepting qualified seniors, disabled, and veterans pursuant RCW 84.36.381. To finance construction of a courthouse and other administrative buildings, and setting forth the text of the ballot proposition. And whereas on February 29, 2020, Governor Inslee proclaimed a state of emergency within the state of Washington due to COVID-19. And whereas on March 11, 2020, the World Health Organization, WHO, declared a COVID-19 global pandemic. And whereas on March 12, 2020, the board proclaimed a state of emergency within Thurston County due to COVID-19. And whereas the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, tightened its guidance on March 15, 2020, that gathering for more than 50 people be canceled for the next 8 weeks. And whereas on March 16, 2020, County Auditor Mary Holt requested that the Board of County Commissioners rescind Proposition 1 from the April 28, 2020 election. And whereas most of the people who staff the ballot processing center during an election are retired seniors, and the citizens, they are at high risk in getting very sick from COVID-19. And whereas the county in-person voting centers also has to be open for people to vote and register on the date of election. And whereas as the date of this ordinance, there are 5 reported confirmed COVID-19 cases in Thurston County, 1,012 confirmed cases in the state of Washington, and 52 reported deaths in Washington state as a result of COVID-19. And whereas there is evidence of increasing transmission of COVID-19 within Thurston County, scientific evidence and national public health guidance supports strategies to slow the transmission of COVID-19 and protect vulnerable members of the public from avoiding risk of serious illness or death resulting from the exposure of COVID-19. And whereas the age, condition, and health of a significant portion of the population of Thurston County place it at high risk of serious health complications, including death from COVID-19. Although most individuals who contract COVID-19 do not become seriously ill, persons with mild symptoms and symptomatic persons with COVID-19 may place other vulnerable members of the public at a significant risk. And whereas a large surge in the number of persons with serious infections can compromise the ability of the regional healthcare systems to deliver necessary healthcare to the public. And whereas this ordinance will reduce the likelihood that many individuals will be exposed to COVID-19 at a single event, and will hereby slow the spread of COVID-19 in our community. And whereas this ordinance comes after the release of substantial guidance from Thurston County Public Health and Social Services and the Center for Disease Control. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Thurston County states as follows. Section 1, the submission of Proposition Number 1 to the Thurston County Auditor calling for a special election on April 28, 2020 is hereby rescinded. Section 2, this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon this adoption.
Need a motion?
Yes, you need to approve this ordinance.
I move to approve an ordinance rescinding the submission to the auditor's office calling for a special election to be held on April 28, 2020, of Proposition 1 in response to the COVID-19 public health emergency.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve an ordinance rescinding the submission to the auditor's office regarding Proposition Number 1. Is there further discussion?
No, sir.
Just that we have an elections expert, we have health experts, and I think this is a necessity based on public health emergency that we face.
And I will circulate this as soon as feasible for your signature, as I read, because we need to submit this to the auditor as soon as possible.
And I would say that, I've said this before,
So-
that there are many people that are personally
Robin.
impacted by this virus. They're losing their job, they're losing their hours, losing their income, they have daycare issues, et cetera. And I believe it's unreasonable and irresponsible for us to put this on, consider this moving forward to the public. Keep your money for your food, medical expenses, your babies, and such. And I fully support rescinding this.
I guess I just make one follow-up comment on that. The community is under quite a bit of stress right now.
Yeah.
And hopefully this will alleviate some of that stress.
So with that, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And next we're moving to commissioner items. I have one, but you have one? Commissioner item? Mine's related to the issue of COVID stuff.
Okay, well, then let's talk about it. I'm good.
My issue is, I was talking with one of the city's administrator, city elected, and this is in regard to pretty much the only thing open now are gas stations and grocery stores. And it was a grocery store. Some employees were expressing concern that people are coming in with their reusable bags that are germ infected or could be, and they wanted a discussion. They, grocery outlets and whomever, retailers, wanted the commissioners, mayors and such to revisit the plastic bag ban and get back to the, at least temporarily, using single-use bags for groceries rather than the reusable ones that everybody else has. And so our plastic bag ban, I believe, came into effect in about 15 or 16. Because of the hot issue in 2016, where the people weren't asked about it, and they were told for unincorporated county that the plastic bag is banned. And most cities have adopted that. Tenino has not. Has Young?
I don't think so.
Young and Tenino that haven't. So it's not consistent. I know there's a plastic bag issue on the governor's desk, I believe, that I think it passed, and it's on the desk. I'm not sure where that one.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
And so, is that something we want to consider? Is that something we're talking about? Yes or no?
I guess if we decide to talk about that, and if we decided to do something, wouldn't that be under the authority of the Board of Health rather than the Board of Commissioners? Because we are talking about this. So that's, I just bring that up as a point of interest.
That's a key interest of the statements of that auspices of the Board of Health or not, I don't know. Do you have anything on this issue?
I'm not, unless I hear that from our health experts that this is a significant issue, I don't have any initial interest in this concept, because I've never heard that that's a concern. And then you'd have stores that have to go out and order plastic bags, and I just, unless a health expert says this is something we could do that would really help, then I would consider it, but I haven't heard that, so.
And then the last plastic bag ban was instituted for good measure, I would think. So what I've also, this is just late yesterday afternoon or early evening that I heard this issue. And they feel again, not all, but some grocers were feeling awkward. I'm gonna charge you a nickel a bag. I don't want you to use your bags, I don't want to touch it. And I don't know who has the right, I think it's the individual retailer can decide whether
Right.
to charge you a nickel a bag or not.
That's their
Use the paper
choice.
bags instead. So there's
That's their
options.
choice. That's their choice. So, and this is more about history, at least from my point of view. As you stated, Commissioner, this action taken by the Board of County Commissioners was not taken by the Board of Health. To implement a plastic bag ban was interesting process, meaning there's a lot of opinions, as you can imagine. But it was the action the commissioners took at that time, I believe it was 2014, and took effect in 2015, only took place in unincorporated areas of the counties.
Mm-hmm.
In the cities, on their own, they followed suit and implemented the same type of plastic bag then, except for a couple of jurisdictions you stated. So under the purview of the Board of Health, you do have authority over the county-wide, obviously, but this is a Board of County Commissioners action. That under the Board of Health, I don't believe you can rescind an action taken by the Board of County Commissioners. So, because this action, whether they like to ban the plastic bag bans, cities need to take, yesterday to me, along the same line. Logistically, it will be extremely difficult for the grocers to beef up their plastic reserves and everything else. So I do believe they do have options if they feel that there's an issue to forego the 5 cents charge. And not just for me, that was one of the arguments as to why the individuals who were opposed to this back then brought this in front of the commissions at that time, is the spread of germs and everything else. And so that issue was there
That's what
already.
flips it, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll keep my ears open about it. If I hear more about it, I
Right.
mean, I'm not saying that's dumb. It just seems, I just never heard of
I
it.
didn't hear you say that, no.
So my,
But what's
That's something
funny,
I'd say.
what's funny is about two or 3 years ago, I asked a checker at a grocery store locally, when I paid the nickel back, because mine were in the car and I forgot, or found down at home. And I said, hey, where's that nickel go? She goes, it goes to the county government. I said, it does? She goes, oh yeah, it goes to the government. I said, no,
It
it
doesn't.
doesn't.
So, no.
We
It
don't get
doesn't.
any of that. She goes, why did you know that? Well, now you do. Don't ever say that again.
because that was at that point, that was one of the arguments also,
Yeah.
that is an attempt for the government to raise funds,
Yeah,
which is, those
exactly.
5 cents don't go to county government. So my perspective, I just provided you a perspective and a historical perspective again. I'm not suggesting for you not to do it. If you decide for me to explore those options, please let me know.
I don't have any interest in that. What I have an interest in now is, especially in light of the governor gonna sign a bill that I think is gonna increase to 8 cents a bag, and then in a year or two, it'll be 12 cents a paper bag. That maybe the EDC contacts some of these major chains and say, hey, why don't you knock out that nickel a bag for a while? With all the store shelves, many of the store shelves empty, they certainly recouped a lot financially. I've been thinking the market to eat that nickel a bag charge, but I don't know the facts and figures. They may say, you're an idiot. Here's the stats. We're losing money on this. I don't know. But I think it's a more viable option than rescinding a plastic bag ban. It wouldn't be consistent countywide, it'd just be confusing as well.
Yeah, but you have the ability to do that. It's just the logistics behind it.
Thank you.
Well, I'm not so sure we wouldn't have the ability to rescind it countywide if we did it as the Board of Health, based on this issue we're dealing with now. I'm not saying that. I'm just- There were several issues. It was an environmental issue, as near as I recall.
Yeah.
And the garbage industry was also in favor of doing this because
They can't
separation
recycle it.
machines or something were plugging up.
Yeah.
Dumbing it up.
I remember I was kind of against the idea of just as a citizen until I did a lot of reading about it. And there was a lot more to it than I had realized. But I came around to realizing that it made sense.
I do think that I tend to agree with Commissioner Menzer. I wouldn't want to do something right now until we get some facts about this. And it might take Board of Health action rather than Board of County Commissioners action. So those are two issues that I would question, because if we did it as the Board of County Commissioners, it's really a health issue is the reason we're doing it. So why wouldn't we be doing it as the Board of Health? So
On that, and I have a meeting later today with Health Director about Board of Health topics for next month. Just throwing it out there, if there's anything you guys think of you'd like to talk about, that's, salient or timely for all the different issues that we're dealing with, let me know.
well,
Because we'll be shaping the agenda for the April meeting, if we have the meeting.
I'm not
I
suggesting.
don't know, okay. How we're doing Board of Health, did we talk about Board of Health now?
That is still up in the air. You have not talked about that yet.
I'm not interested in getting deep into rescinding and then doing it under the auspices of the Board of Health for a temporary basis. It's a lot of work and I love my burlap Seahawk bags and I keep them clean. You can wash those. But that doesn't give level of comfort to the person I'm handing them to. But if they were to, and I'll pay the nickel a bag if that's the law. But if they would rescind that, for a lot of poor folks, that's an idea. The people that use those things, that a nickel saved is a dime or a quarter to anybody else. That's something for the EDC perhaps to take up, not me and not the board.
I think we only have one real grocery store in the unincorporated area, and that's down in Rochester.
Yeah.
I don't think we have a lot of grocery stores,
Yeah, I don't.
unincorporated area of the county, so I don't know. It might be a moot point for us to address this anyway.
But it's not, it was an urban city that brought it
Now,
up.
maybe we could do something like, I don't know what kind of an expenditure it would be, but agree to pay the 5 cents for citizens until this issue is over, or something down at Rochester. That's the only one that,
What about UGAs? We don't,
God, let me think about that.
I don't know as we do in UGAs.
and we keep talking about Winco being in the county.
Yeah,
You're
yep,
right.
yep,
Go is-
yep,
you're right.
yep.
There you go.
You called it, yep.
Yeah, that's the other
Oh,
one.
man.
That's a big one.
That's a big one,
It
yeah.
is. Yeah,
Don't make it there very often.
Yeah.
okay, but, I mean,
But if we paid the number
if there's
back,
something to this complaint that you're referring to, I would like to hear more about it from our health people.
I heard it from one person, and I don't know how many people have notified that person, but if we were to do a bailout, a bag bailout,
Yeah.
that might help the customer, but we are feeding the pocket of a business. And I have concern
I don't know how
with
much, I don't know what they pay for those bags, maybe,
that.
I don't know, they cost me $50. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, even still, even if it's, even with Winco, that's still, if it's 2 stores.
Yeah.
That's not gonna make much impact on the situation.
And logistically will be extremely complicated to process that subsidy of 5 cents.
Okay.
Hey, Brian, rewind this and take that piece out, this whole segment, take the segment out.
All right.
You know, it was a good discussion, I promised someone I would bring it up, and I did, and now I'm bored with the topic. Because it's just gonna be too complicated for hopefully a month or 2 month period of time. It would take us that long to get it done, it would be resending it again. Okay, any other commissioner items? You have some, you have?
Well, the commissioner item that I brought up earlier today, it sounds like we're gonna discuss that tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow at 9 o'clock. I already changed the agenda, so we'll
Okay.
have Josh
I'm
participate on
gonna
that.
let that slide, I guess.
I have this sheriff animal services issue. It may not be it's not time sensitive, but this is the only place we get to talk, so maybe I can circulate this letter or you can circulate it to the board.
Everybody got that letter.
Everybody got it?
Yeah.
Okay, because it only showed me and you on it.
Oh, really?
So,
I will make sure I make a copy.
I don't
Sorry.
think I got
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
I thought it, okay.
Did you get it? No. Okay, I didn't get it.
Okay, we'll apologize. We'll make a
I'll
copy.
just kind of raise it and then you can read the letter, we can talk about it next week or something. There's been basically, I guess, some meetings between Animal Services Director and the Sheriff's Office. I was supposed to have a meeting with the sheriff on Monday, but it got kicked because of our COVID briefing. So I haven't been able to talk to the sheriff directly. But there's concerns raised in here about, concerns from the sheriff about services from Jazzcom. Three things. A couple of them relate to just after-hours service, and Jazzcom's been cutting what it does on an after-hours basis, and that's concerning to the sheriff. If they pick up a dog and they can't drop it after hours or something, they don't know, I guess that's one issue. And then, one of the issues in here just relates to level of service for field operation. It's talking about no response to barking dog complaints, nuisance, at-large and aggressive dogs. That's just a function of our policy that we don't pay for that level of service. So that, I think, is an issue we need to talk to the sheriff about. A couple of these issues might want to, I don't know how to respond. We should talk about that.
Who's the letter from?
The letter is from Sheriff Snaza to the Director of Animal Services, copied to the county. And there's another issue here that's important. Your officers are provided with a sheriff's commission to enforce laws related to animals. However, it would seem only the cities are receiving any enforcement action. Well, that's because we don't pay for the enforcement action, not all of it. If the primary services you are providing are the shelter, spay and neuter education, or rescued of injured or neglected animals, then we would question whether that authority is even necessary, as it creates undue risk for the sheriff. So this, I think, is kind of the rub of the disagreement or discord about whether or not the sheriff is questioning the commissions, which are important, as I understand it, to the animal services officers. So I think it's something the board should discuss next week, maybe.
I'll bring that up. I did have a conversation with the sheriff, and I know the timing in which this letter was drafted, and I did have the opportunity to express to the sheriff the level of service and the amount of money the county contributes to animal services, because we, by the contribution, we're buying a certain level of service. We don't buy the level of service the cities have. I mean, that's plain, and you've heard that before. And I asked the sheriff to give us some time because this issue needs to be addressed on the 2021-2022 budget. And that's the conversation that you as a board would like to need to entertain, whether this level of service is adequate to your citizens, to your constituents, or you like to increase your level of service. On the initial planning meeting that we had in January, I brought this issue to your attention, and also I brought some opportunities for you to consider how you can perhaps generate revenue to increase the level of service related to animal service. So
Okay.
I will bring this next week for a further discussion.
Are we done at 11:30?
Yeah, I need to be part of our meeting.
Okay, so let me ask you this, can you recap then what we're going to do and when we're gonna do it? Not putting the squeeze on you, but for expectation for the public and for us.
I
The
just
decision point on when we're closing
Yeah.
the doors.
I just sent that email to all the elected offices and appointed directors, outlining the decision of the majority of the board to close county offices for public access. That's what we're doing, closing the county offices for public access starting tomorrow, and it will take effect through Friday, April 3rd, 2020, with the understanding that perhaps you, depending on how this thing evolves, this emergency, you may take a different action before then. If not, April 6th, hopefully we're back to somewhat of a normalcy. Also stated in my email in the request, we are not stopping services to the citizens. It's going to be somewhat of modified services as to how we can avoid that contact-to-contact person. As you heard from Shelley's letter this morning, the Director of Public Health and Social Services, that is the key. That is the pivotal point as to how we need to avoid that contact among individuals. And I think this measure is, at least from my point of view, is adequate. Not just protects the citizens, but also protects county employees. And also, we discussed this plan for shutting down non-essential services. The offices and departments will be submitting those plans today to me, and I will I will entertain another conversation with you next week if that is something they may be needed or warranted, but at this point, it's not.
Non-essential services that can't be handled
Right,
outside.
right, if it cannot be handled via telecommuting or anything else. But that is another decision, might be coming or not. So,
Go ahead and let him finish up now. We'll get him. Go ahead.
When you're talking about closing, I'm just talking about the buildings tonight.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering about is Tilly Road, Health Department, how's it?
yeah, those will be closed to the public,
All county buildings?
all county buildings. Yeah. But the services to the citizens will continue to provide, but there's online services, as we described. Josh already started thinking about this by appointment only, where we can start receiving applications. Review of the plans, review of the current applications will continue. That will not stop. And issuing the permits will continue we issue permits. That will not stop.
Court, though, we need to be clear to the public that it doesn't, we're not saying that you don't have to come to court if you have a court date.
Right. So in my email, if I may read to you, to the officers of the department, and the department says, dear elected officials and appointed directors, today the majority of the board has directed me to implement a county offices closures for public access. The courts may be responded to this closure differently to ensure their mandated services will continue. This closure will begin tomorrow, Thursday, March 19, 2020, through Friday, April 3rd, 2020. This could change depending on the development of this emergency. county services will continue to operate under these restrictions. Thus, I am encouraging you to implement strategies to continue to serve the public. Some of you have already submitted your non-essential business shutdown plans. I will assess these plans and consider implementing these plans if necessary next week. Only at that time will the compensation to employees under this shutdown plan will take place. An email to county employees will be sent out this afternoon. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for your support.
Good, okay,
That is the email that I dropped it this morning based on.
good. So, in summation, we are the capital county, the capital seat of the state, and we need to be bold in making our decisions and responding to this, just limit the spread of this virus in order to protect people. And we are the commissioners. And if we don't do it, then why are we here? Because this involves everybody, and I just ask everybody to stick through it. We must all be flexible, we're in it together. Go ahead.
And just last thought, and you're in a very extremely difficult position. And now you understand the difficult decisions that you need to make on a daily basis. And this is uncharted times for us, uncharted waters. We just do the best that we can to respond to this public health emergency, the best of our abilities. So I appreciate your leadership. I appreciate your passion, because each one of you brings a passion to the business of the county. So from my perspective, thank you. Thank you for everything that you do, not just serving county citizens, but also serving your employees.
And unless you have something else to say, is thank you for wielding us through this. And I can't think, like I said the other day, of having two better seatmates to help get us through this as well. Very comforting. All right, thank you, then we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I have a number.